Welcome back. This is The Life of Ana, and today I have an announcement. So, we decided to start a podcast because it feels like I have a lot more to say than just things about, business and real estate. We're going to be talking a little bit about books and our experiences, and that's pretty much what this whole podcast is going to be about. Our lives as not just entrepreneurs, but as people, our personal journeys and things that we have discovered while just navigating this world. And it's going to be really, really fun, really exciting. And this is just us sharing our adventures, our thoughts, not so much of the fancy, studio lighting, although there is going to be some of that, but a lot of it is, on the fly as they come, because that's when the best thoughts come, like when you're in the shower and then, all of these ideas are coming to your head and you're like, where do I write this down on the shower door or something? So basically, it's going to be just very raw, very unscripted. So, welcome to the first episode of Rogue and Unscripted. Let's go.
To have multiple angles on a journey, a goal, is important. And when having people along the way, such as each other, Anna provides a different perspective to myself. Like if I'm viewing myself in a certain way, let's say, for example, I see myself in the mirror this morning and it's not that well lit because it's early in the morning. Later in the day, I see her and she's like, oh, you have a booger in your nose. Like there's so many different ways where everyone can see it, but it takes a certain type of person to see that booger in your nose and call it out. Because there's some people that you'll come across in life, in business, in whatever aspect that may be. They'll say that they're going to do XYZ for you, but the moment comes when there's a circumstance that everybody's stressed out. Who are those people that are actually going to show up and show you that there's a booger in your nose? I'm saying that in terms of a metaphorical uh, way to paint the picture for you guys, is that when we start off in a journey, I've been in 5 different teams in this real estate space since I've joined last year, both Anna and I, when we joined last year. And I realized, one, knowing the main aspect of, does this person share the same values as me? Does this person share the same um, vision as me, the same work ethic, same integrity? It falls back onto our core principles of ourselves. And if we have to um, figure out what our core principles are, I think that's where you should start as an individual. Know yourself, know thyself. And then once you start to know thyself, you then can surround yourself with other people that are like-minded, like-hearted, and express your being, your vision, and execute on that daily. Um, that's where we're currently going through right now. We have finally found a team that has agreed to go that extra mile with us, reciprocate the actions, and not everybody is not perfect by any means. It's knowing who's willing to, take the bumps and bruises with you and just eat shit completely and get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. That's the main thing if people aren't willing to give up. And that being said, what do you think it is that caused you to understand if someone's really that ride or die in a team? And what I mean by ride or die doesn't have to ride or die. It doesn't have to mean like they'll take a bullet for you, per se. Is necessarily ride or die as if we're going to come across resistance. We're going to come and hit some obstacles. This is the person that's going to help me through this. They're not going to, they're going to be like, oh no, I got to go. Good luck. And then they just take off and then have you deal with it yourself. What to you is like the main factor as to how you can determine that? Have you come across people that are ride or die? And it doesn't even have to be in business. It could be in anything, in partnerships and things like that when it comes to having the proper team members.
So for me, and sorry guys, we only have one microphone today, so we're gonna be doing this like back and forth thing for a little bit. Uh, but I think for me, when I really realized, first, not to see it in people, but to see it in myself, that's when I first started to actually be able to identify it in other people. Is because I know that I will always attract the kind of people that resonate with my current energy and who I am and the things that I give. And so I kind of actually took this from the Think and Grow Rich book. If you guys haven't read it, I highly recommend
She's
it.
been reading that right now.
Yeah, and honestly, multiple times. Like I keep
Killing
going
it.
back over it. It's
Yeah.
amazing, amazing book, and it's timeless, and it's one of those books that I feel like I will always go back to. But in Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter on leadership, and even though there's only really one leader in a team,
Mhm.
once you assign roles to people, those roles they're responsible for that, meaning that they're leaders in that particular space, right? So like
Yeah.
in real estate, for example, you have an underwriter, and then you have the people that do the lead management, and then you have the team leader, and you have different roles within that team. You want to make sure that the people that you're connecting with are able to have some sort of leadership of their own, but they're also coachable and open-minded enough to understand that that leadership applies to themselves, right? Like, am I reliable enough in my own task, in my own space, in my own life, and with my own people to go into a team and be reliable into whatever the team asks me to
Mhm.
do? So, like, for me, I think when I'm qualifying people or disqualifying people to be in a team, I always look for their open mindedness. I always look for if they have an abundance mindset. If these are people that fear competition, for example, I don't like that, because that to me says that you don't feel like there's enough abundance for everybody to be a part of,
Mhm.
right? Like you're scared. That comes from fear. And I don't like fearful people in my team, because we're a team that is supposed to be led by faith, and faith and fear are two opposite emotions and two opposite beliefs, and they can't coexist. So it's one or the other. You got to be
Yes.
faithful or you got to be fearful. So, just having that abundance mindset, and then, being able to respond to the team dynamic in a way that, for example, if somebody falls behind on something, that other person's going to say, hey, I'll do that for you, even though it's not part of what I do. I want to make sure that this well-oiled machine is going and coasting. And so, hey, you fell behind, no worries, I'll pick that up. I'm going to pick that up for you. I'm going to pick here up, and then it just works in perfect harmony.
Yeah.
Everybody understands everybody's personalities and their capabilities, and if they understand, hey, you weren't able to take care of this, you have a lot on your plate, let me take that for you. It's just that game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love what you said about the leadership roles, and it made me think about when I first started in this real estate community that we're in Sub Two. It When I first joined, we went to our first meetup. I was excited. I was listening to all of the content online before I even got there, taking notes, everything, the whole nine. I was actually There's about 6 or 8 weeks that are in the initial course. I was at like week 6. Um, and when I first pulled up to the meetup, it was wintertime. And I saw everybody pulling up behind me. I was like, oh, I wonder if these are all the other people part of the community. And everyone's just meeting at the front. They start to crowd up and get near the front door because we were meeting at a flip. And I open up the door, cold breeze just comes rushing. And I'm like, oh, okay, hopefully we don't got to stay out here for that much longer. And I meet this guy. I forget what his name. I think his name was. I think it was James at the time. Shout out James if you watch this. And during that time, when we were all getting in and crowding, I asked him, "Hey, so what's on the agenda for today? Like, what's going on? Whose property is this at that we're at?" And they said, "Oh, this is James's, or not James's. I think he said Mike or something's property." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's go in and see how things are gonna go." Mind you, this is our first meetup. We don't know what's going on. We're just meeting, wanting to network with people. It's the first time I've ever networked with people. From that time now, with me looking back to me back then, I'm like, damn, it was kind of cringy because what I'm getting at is a newbie coming in and seeing no direction, no vision, no guidance, that's where the natural leader in me was like, okay, nobody's stepping up to the plate, because we all filed into this room in the dining room. It was a flip. They're probably about a month out from finishing. So once we all filed in, it was just silent.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember it was like we were all standing in a large circle and no one was just like saying anything. We were
Yeah.
just standing there. And then, we were like, so what do we do? So whose flip is this? And then, a few people would say a few words here and there, but there was no dynamic. There was no group dynamic, there was no order, there was no clear intention. It was more so like, hey, let's all go meet. And then we all met and it was like, what do we do now?
Yes.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that point when we sat there, or we were standing rather, everyone was standing up, just kind of staring at each other. And, every now and again, we'd meet people side to side. Like if we're side to side, like how we are right now, I'd meet the person, shake their hand, get to know them. Oh, yeah, like blah, 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 blah. And then eventually, someone brought to attention what was going on and how we were supposed to go about it. But it wasn't in a way that was certain, and it wasn't in a way that was confident. And me at that time, being a leader in a different field, was like, oh, okay, this is a space where I can basically, or we can basically take over. We can kill this. We're going to kill this game. We're going to be leading. We're going to be guiding everybody forward. However, I haven't done anything, haven't done any deals. I want to be able to get my feet wet. I want to be able to hit the ground running and make sure that I'm leading by example. And that's why I realized within myself, okay, I need to get a deal done. I need to be able to meet people. I need to do all these different type of things that a leader should do in order to get to that point where I can guide these people confidently. Because if there isn't that competence behind the confidence, and you don't have the reps that you put in, that's where you have the creep of sabotage, or your uh, what is it called? Like you're sabotaging yourself and thinking that you're doing the thing, but you actually haven't done it. And actually, a shell. It seems like you're a shell of a person. I can't think of the word.
What, self sabotage?
So no, not self sabotage. It's imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Oh
Imposter
man, that's a
syndrome.
whole topic in
So
itself.
so imposter syndrome was what I was dealing with at that time, because I was like, all right, I really want to lead these people. I want to lead everybody and show them like this is the way. However, that's also the natural helper side of me, because I am a helper. And in this in this community, Pace has uh, a video that all the students can check out, which is the Avatar series. Definitely recommend y'all to check that out if you're in sub 2. That helps people see what they are, as they kind of like label it for themselves. And when you put labels on things, it's easy to categorize different type of things. That was a game changer for myself later on. But in the earlier stages, when I didn't see any type of guidance, nothing whatsoever, I had to go out there and just take action in relationships, set up meetings, make calls with agents, make calls with sellers. I had no idea what I was doing. And that's I was thinking like, okay, at the same time, we're running our cleaning business, which is a whole new thing in itself. To stick onto the directive of being a leader and going into something new, that's where I knew in myself that instinct within myself to naturally want to lead. That's what I wanted to do. And amongst other things within real estate, which you and I both know, there's a billion things that we can do in real estate, in business, that it's like you're a kid in a candy store.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And with that topic alone, I feel like we can make hundreds of videos just talking about all the different things that you can do within real estate and even in business in general. Like there's so many ways to make money in like entrepreneurship without having to be a business owner, which is really interesting. And I actually didn't know this until the first Steelmakers event, Abraham Steelmakers event in Atlanta. I didn't know that you could do so many things with business without being a business owner, and without having all of these ideas to be a business owner and all this stuff. But,
Yeah.
and same thing within real estate. And, going back to, like the team building aspect, um and kind of relating it to all the things that you could do. I think at that point is just really learning what everybody's skill set is, what everybody's talents are. You were talking about leadership, and the thing about leadership is you're everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to be a
We
leader.
all are leaders.
It's
We all
such
are leaders
a
too.
revered position. Yeah, in some ways. But there's people that are born with this very natural thing of being like leaders of larger groups, and they naturally influence people, they naturally have people gravitate towards them, and they're just natural born leaders. There is that term, I'm sure everybody has heard it, and there's a lot of truth behind it. And so natural born leaders have the power and the potential to influence others, hopefully in positive ways, right? Because we know
Hmm.
really shitty leaders that influence people in negative ways. But when it comes to business and real estate and entrepreneurship, if you are that type of leader, if you're a natural born leader, which I am not a natural born leader, but I feel like Maj is, and I know a lot of other natural born leaders in this space, there's a lot of inner work that you have to do to be able to build a solid team, because it's not just about what people can do for you, because you're not hiring employees. When you build a team, you're not hiring employees. You're building people that are going to help push the vision forward. And that being said, you have to have a similar vision. If you're in a team and your visions are separate, similar but like different, and you're going in different directions, that's just not going to work out. And
Yeah.
we've been in teams where that has happened.
Yeah.
Amazing
Oh
people
my
in
God.
this team, incredibly intelligent, incredibly kind, people that are just high tier, just incredible people, but the visions weren't there, right? Like the collective
Yeah.
vision and that path just wasn't there. I
Oh
know
my
you're
God.
like dying to
Yeah.
speak.
Oh, there's just so much that you're bringing up.
Yeah,
Thank
there's a
you.
lot to talk.
There's so much that she just brought up that were coming to my forethought as she was speaking. I was like, oh my god, yeah, I want to talk about that. So if there can be a clash also with multiple leaders, and I believe everyone is a natural born leader to a certain extent, but when it does come down to, like you said, leading groups of people and noticing different talents that people have, and noticing that people will mesh with certain people, some people won't mesh with other people, and there's also that line of communication. I think communication is huge, and being intentional as to what you want to do. Shout out Jesse and Chris have really helped us out. It was one of the teams that we worked for in the community, and being able to share and have that eye to eye in the human to human interaction and connecting on that level is crucial when demonstrating what your thoughts are, your feelings are about a situation. You should be able to communicate that openly with your group, whether you're screaming it or whether your voice shakes and you're timid. Communicate it, and then afterwards you guys can hash it out and then come to a mutual grounding and then move on. That's what's going to be powerful in noticing that you do have that ride or die type of individual and personality that will be able to take the vision that much further. In a
Yeah.
way, we're kind of killing our own egos by working together, by focusing on the main vision. So we kill what our whole personality is. Everyone has that third mind that is in also Think and Grow Rich, the book. You
You
should
have to
definitely
read
read
that
it.
book.
When we're masterminding, everyone creates that third mind, that external entity, and puts it into creation. They all have bits and pieces that can put it together.
Really want to bring up that third mind concept. In Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter, and I think it's called the Mastermind Effect or the Mastermind. And I feel like a lot of us have heard about that topic, right? Like a mastermind. Oh, I'm going to a mastermind. A mastermind is not necessarily a course. Although there is the course aspect of it, you're taught how to do certain things. But a mastermind, it comes from this book, and it talks about the mastermind effect is really when, and this gets a little bit deep, it gets into a lot about like frequency and energy and like the spirituality of human nature. But when you're with, there's a plane, when you're with a group of people, there's this effect where brains and brainwave frequencies synchronize with the people around you. And what happens is it's heightened. It's like if it's like you're collecting energy. It's like a battery. It becomes a battery. That I think that's the example that they use too in the book, is it becomes a battery, and it's a power source. You're connecting different power sources, making it into a larger one. But in this case, it's a mental power source, right? Everything that we create comes from our minds. We all know that. And so when you have this mastermind effect, the vision, the possibilities, the thoughts, all of the ideas, they all synchronize into one huge idea and like power source for this vision. And so you can have that effect at masterminds, which is like full of hundreds of people, right? And it feels amazing. If you've ever been at one of these events, the energy there is so incredibly contagious. You can't help but to feel motivated and inspired. And like you have all of these ideas going through your head and you feel like you're completely unstoppable.